2013 Toyota Corolla. Going to do a right side half shaft and ball joint and lower control arm and stabilizer bar and links. So first off you need to do is raise it up, jack it up, support it, remove your front tires, and then you need to loosen up this nut on the axle shaft. That's the 12 point. And this one, you gotta remove the tie rod end nut. It's either an 18 or a 17. No, it's not gonna be an 18 because Toyota don't use 18s. They use 17s or 19s. All right. And then we're also gonna take off the bolts and nuts for the lower ball joint. All right, the axle nut is a 30 millimeter, 12 point. And the ball joints were 19 on the nuts, and I'm pretty sure the bolts are 19 too, but had an aftermarket bolt on it, so don't know. All right, so now you need to break the taper on the tie rod, so you need to hit the knuckle with a sledgehammer to knock the tie rod in out of there. And broke the taper. Also need to spray some pension around that and on the axle shaft. Tap on it. See if it goes in a little bit. Going very slowly, so it's a good thing. That means I'll be able to get it out. All right, so now next you need to do is remove the lower ball joint from the lower control arm so you can pull that whole knuckle and rotor assembly out to tap that axle in. Okay, pry the control arm down and get it out of the ball joint. Took a medium-sized screwdriver inside the rotor fins, pry the whole control arm, not the control arm, the knuckle and the rotor out pretty decently far, and then put a 2x4 in there that holds it out a little bit, so now you can tap on this axle shaft to get it pushed in. Okay, now you need to pry this whole knuckle out even farther to pull the axle shaft out of the knuckle. Be careful, you're gonna lose your 2x4. So then lose the 2x4 and then pull it back out and put a 2x4 underneath the strut up there by the spring and turn the whole knuckle this way. So you can, this has a free throw coming out. Then you need to get yourself a decent sized pry bar and a drain pan. Go up here to the trans where the half shaft's at and get your pry bar in there and get on the side of it between the trans and the half shaft and pry it out. You gotta give it a nice fast jerk, you know, to get that snap ring on that half shaft out of the trans. Okay, so I'm gonna need two hands. I'm gonna put my phone down. All right, there's what it looks like. There's a little clip on the end there. C-clip. What you're doing is you're prying against this big piece here, against the trans, prying it out, or you can hit it that way with a big pry bar and a hammer. Just need to get it out of that snap ring, then you can just pull the whole shaft straight out. Okay? Next, we're gonna remove the control arm. See how nicely bent it is. I'm gonna remove the back bolt. This is a 19 and a 19 nut. Nuts on the top, bolts on the bottom. So you got the nut loose, but it won't come out. It comes down a little bit. Put your wrench on there like that. Put your impact socket on, hit it, and pull it down once your wrench. Now this bolt here is gonna hit the, is that the oil filter assembly? Yeah, it's gonna hit that. So probably gonna need to do is put a jack under the oil pan with a block of wood and jack the engine up, and there should be a mount up on top. Loosen that up, allow us to pick that engine up a little bit. Okay, there's the mount. Backwards from what I wanted, but now gotta remove the coolant bottle. 10, 10, 10. Lift the bottle up out of the way, then you can get to that bolt and another bolt over here. There might be another one, but the bottle's in the way, so I gotta remove that coolant bottle. 3 10 millimeters. Okay, you got 3 14 millimeters. One here, one there, and one over here. One there, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now the engine is just resting on the frame. So now we go underneath and we'll jack it up. Okay, here we are. Got enough clearance there. Never use your jack, just your plain jack or jack stand on an oil pan. Always use a block of wood, because you don't need to poke a hole or crack an oil pan. All right, always use a block of wood. All right, now all I need to do is take that bolt out. Okay, the bolt is out. It pretty much looks the same, but it's a little bit shorter. I guess not exactly the same. But anyway, keep it all right, so now you can pull this baby out. There's a pry bar. Pull it out of the front, and then pull it out of the back towards you. All right, next is the stabilizer. Gotta remove the links. Mine is on 18 and a 19 wrench. These have been replaced before, so they got the hexes on it for the wrench. So hopefully yours does too. So I'm gonna take this side off and the other side off at the strut, so that way I can drop the stabilizer bar down so I can get access to the nut on the bottom. I'm wrong. I can't pry it down any further because it's hitting the control arm on the other side, but I can at least take this side off, and the other side I can use an air ratchet and a socket and a wrench, because it gives us a little bit more room because you can pick it up. All right. Next you want to do is drop that stabilizer bar out, but you need to get access to the bolts, so you need to drop the subframe in the back. And you got a subframe bolt here, it's a 19. Subframe bolt here, 19. You get to it through the control arm hole, and you just want to put them back in there with 1 or 2 threads. Same bolt over here, 1 or 2 threads. Take this one all the way out, and then you got the motor mount, trans mount. You got through this hole's a nut, through this hole's a nut, 14. And this one you got a bolt, the 14. And then this one here is a 14 millimeter nut. And then the whole thing can drop down. If you want to drop down even farther, you can just take those 2 bolts out, but I'm fine so far. Now you can get access up in here to the stabilizer bar bolts. I think there are 12. Make sure you spray them down with some penetrant. You don't want them busting off. All right. There's 2 on each side. 1 on this side and 1 on this side. 1 on this side and 1 on that side. Got your 4 bolts out for your stabilizer. Retainers. Pull the stabilizer out. Put it directly on the floor, same way it came out. That way you don't get confused on which way it goes in there. Okay? So now we can go back together. Oh yeah, forgot about the ball joint. Remove the cotter pin, remove the nut. Now you can get access to it with a socket more easier, and hit it with a hammer when you break the taper. Okay? Got a 2011 Chevy Cruze with a 1.8 liter, and we're going to change the oil and filter on it. First you want to do is change the oil filter, because when you take the filter out, the oil that's in that housing will drain into the pan, okay? So if you do it the other way around, oil first and then the filter, then the old oil by the filter drains into to your new oil. So you want to do the filter first. You need a 15/16 socket, preferably a 6-point, 15/16 and an extension, and a decent sized ratchet to break it loose. Okay, I'm loosen it up and take it out. Wiggle it a little bit as you're coming off and get the oil out of there. Pick it up. Okay, and that's what it looks like. Okay, so now you're gonna get your new filter and a new O-ring, all right? Pull the filter, hold on to the housing, twist and pull the filter out, and get a little pick or screwdriver, pull that O-ring off. Okay, there you go. New O-ring, new filter. This is how the filter clips into the housing. Twist and pull. Make sure you push it in and twist at the same time so it snaps in. All right, so then you want to put this on there, screw it all the way down, and then snug it up. Okay, filter's in there, tighten it up. You want to tighten it up to 25 Newton meters, which is 18 foot-pounds. Okay. All right, next is to raise it up and to drain the oil. Next, you want to remove your drain plug. I had to pound a T47 in here because a T40 was a little bit too small and it twisted on me. So pounded a Torx T47 in there with my hammer and broke it loose with my 3/8 impact. Oh, geez. What a dumb design. Can't design a drain plug. How are you going to design an engine? All right, so we got that out. If you can get a new drain plug, get a new drain plug. Hopefully one with a hex head on it instead of this stupid design. Okay, I got a drain plug with the gasket with the O-ring type on it, which would be perfect for it. Thread's in there, so I'm going to use that one. Drain plug's in. 14 Newton meters, which is about 9 foot-pounds. Okay, so tighten up your drain plug. And then while you got it up in the air off the ground, you might want to check your tie rod ends. Grab hold of the tire, move it right to left. That'll be 3 and 9. If you feel any movement in them, then possibly got a bad tie rod end. If you do it at 12 and 6, possibly you might have a bad wheel bearing or ball joint, depending upon where the movement's at. We'll just give a visual inspection around underneath for any major oil leaks, because they always leak oil. But you don't want any major oil leaks that are actually dripping on the ground while it's running. That's an oil leak. This is just seepage. And you got a mount right here. It's on the trans. You want to look at that and make sure it's not broken from the rubber to the center. That's good, then you're good to go. Same thing at the front. Make sure there's one right here. Make sure it's not busted also. And give you an engine thump or possibly a weird vibration. You want to inspect your links for your stabilizer bar. Make sure they're not broken. And these are the links right here. It goes on the stabilizer bar and all the way up to the strut. All looks good. Make sure your tire pressure's set to factory recommendations. I recommend 36 on this vehicle, and we're gonna lower it down. All right, take the oil cap off, put a nice funnel on it, pour 5 quarts of 530 in there, synthetic, put the cap back on, go inside the vehicle, start it up, let it run for a little bit, shut it off, come back out, pour your dipstick out, wipe it off, get an idea of where and what the notches or holes or whatever it looks like on the dipstick. Push the dipstick in, pull it back out, and look at it. See where the oil's at on. Perfect, okay? Gotta look at both sides because sometimes they go in at an angle like that, or like that, and it will change the oil level on the dipstick because of the angle. So you gotta spin it around and look for it. Okay, so it looks good. So we're all set. And then what you wanna do is check your coolant, make sure it's not hot. Check your hose, make sure you can squeeze it. Loosen your cap up slowly, top off your fluid if your coolant's low, top off your windshield washer solvent. And if you wanna gotta inspect your belt, make sure it doesn't have no cracks in it. Make sure it's routed properly, it's not fraying on the sides or anything. And then your air filter, it's got 4 screws, Phillips heads. You have to remove those and lift this upper housing up so you can get the filter out. And if they come out, make sure you put some anti-seize on them before you go back together. So for next time when you do, they ease the removal. All right, make sure you put an oil change reminder sticker on it for 3,000 miles and you're all set. And that's how you change oil. If I helped you change your oil, it's great. Maybe you can help me out by subscribing. And if you already did, I appreciate it and I thank you all.